What's up, friends? This is Casey with This Rent House, and today I'm going to talk to you about how we manage our kids' high school sports on a budget. I guess it'd be one, right? Number one, set a budget. At the beginning of the year, we kind of sit down and say, what kind of sports are the kids going to want to do this year? And then we have to say to them sometimes, like, I know you're really excited about this sport, but you're going to have to pick one or the other because sometimes they're in the same season. Or sometimes number one, I guess it'd be one, right? Number one. Set a budget. At the beginning of the year, we kind of sit down and say, what kind of sports are the kids going to want to do this year? And then we have to say to them sometimes, like, I know you're really excited about this sport, but you're going to have to pick one or the other because sometimes they're in the same season. Or sometimes it's just not feasible for us to do a spring sport and a fall sport, just depending on what the season holds. Now that everybody's in high school, though, and it's not so much throwing everybody in an optimist team, it's gotten a lot better because there's usually fall sports and then there's usually spring sports, and there's not like too many things that it's difficult to do two high school sports at the same season. So for example, the girls are doing softball this spring and Logan's doing track, and then in the fall Brianna will go off to college, but Caitlin is wanting to do volleyball and Logan is wanting to do basketball. Maybe that. Gonna have to double check on that. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? So kind of have a format in your mind of what sports everybody's going to be in, and then do the assessments early. Like, okay, we're going to do softball or baseball. Are you planning on being a catcher? Because that's more gear. Are you planning on being a goalie? Like, if so, that's more gear. Not a whole lot more, but I'm just trying to think of things that's going to be outside of your typical, what you probably already have kind of stuff. Now, so along with that, setting the budget, things that you want to know for the budget are, uniform costs. Does it cost to be on the team? Is everybody having to wear team shoes? Because that happens, like a lot of basketball players, they all want the team to match in uniform, complete down to their shoes. Same thing for football and sometimes cheer and stuff like that. So just making sure you know that kind of stuff ahead of time. Don't be afraid to call the school office and ask them those kind of questions. Sometimes they don't know, but you can at least ask them to direct you to the person, the coach, the assistant, whoever's going to have that information. I know that's one of my biggest issues that I've had with the kids transferring to this school. I say transferring, I homeschooled the twins, so there was not a transfer as much as there was for my oldest who transferred from a private school to a public school. So it's very different. Like, nobody sits you down at the beginning of the season and say, okay, parents, this is our schedule. This is how many people we need in the concession stands. This is how much everything is going to cost. And then these are some of the extras if you're interested in them. Like, nobody ever sat down and did any of that with us. So this year I feel like I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I have no idea what's going on. I'm trying to be flexible, and my kids are trying to tell their coaches, like, excuse me, you bought us windbreakers, but you didn't tell my parents. And so, like, that's not in the March budget. You're going to have to wait till... Thankfully, the coaches have been like, I get that. That's cool. Number two. So each week the kids have like away games and home games, or away meets and home meets, that kind of stuff. And it gets really, really expensive if we send them with money for the concession stands. All we're really doing is paying for them to eat junk. So what we do instead is we prep for wherever we're going, whatever they're doing. So like this past weekend, I'll show you guys some B-roll for that in just a second. But our goal was to not break the bank eating at this invitational all day long. So we literally packed our cooler full of foods and brought some chips and had tons of water and some Sprites and stuff like that along with us, so that we weren't having to go to the concessions and constantly have concessions. Now, did we eventually have stuff from concessions? Absolutely. I think Logan had like a Gatorade. I ended up going for some nachos. I think Eric ended up going for some Skittles. It was a long day, and after eating sandwiches for lunch and for supper, it just was like, you know, we just needed a different flavor in our mouth, I guess. I don't know. No good excuses. But the girls were excellent. They ate the sandwiches. They ate the chips. Nobody complained. I had other parents that were like, hey, that was pretty smart, because it was like 5 people eating out of concession this weekend. That was Friday and Saturday games all day. We were probably going to spend like $40 at least. Now, the other thing that we are really sticklers about is on the trip home, a lot of the team sports will stop and eat on the way home, which, if you don't know, I'm a nutritionist, and it drives me crazy that they will stop and eat fast food. So we're talking about the girls have 4 games this week, and all of them are away. And because they have 4 games away, they will eat on the way home 4 times. And I do not allow for us to eat out. Like, my husband and I don't even get to eat out like everybody. Right, hey friends, so I thought that while we were out in the actual field for our softball tournament this weekend, I would show you guys what it looks like in the back of my vehicle when we pack. Now, we've already like taken out our seats and my blanket, but here's kind of what that would look like. All right, so inside the cooler, we just pack up all of our sandwiches. Some of us have already gone into it. And lots of water, and then of course my Sprites, because, you know, Mom does all the hard work. I deserve a good Sprite. And then I also bring these chips, but let me explain. Like, I pack extra baggies, and the kids can fill up the baggies as much as they want to with chips. I'm just not sending them into the dugout with those chips because they'll never come back to me, and I'll end up feeding the team. So along with our food, dry skin, I also make sure that I've always got a hoodie and a scarf and a boggin and some extra water. So my suggestions are to make sandwiches ahead, freeze them up, throw them in your cooler. We also do granola bars, we do trail mixes. Sometimes we'll do cheese sticks. Buy the big bag of chips, bring baggies. That's how we did it. And then everybody just got their handfuls of chips, put them in their own bag, ran off. When they needed more, they'd come back. Logan eventually finished off the bag on the way home. I mean, which is totally fine, because at least I only spent like $2.50 on a big bag of chips from the dollar store versus like having to spend $1 every time he went to the concession stands for these little bags, like the little bags of Lay's, you know what I mean? So I also really suggest, if you're going to bring water and you're not a very good water drinker, to always kind of like keep in mind that there's flavorings that you can add to it. My son Logan really likes to add the flavorings to them. I personally don't. It's just not my thing. But if I have a good cold bottle of water, I have no problems drinking it. I like to carry around fresh slices of lemon. If I've got my Yeti, I can just, you know, squeeze a couple of my lemons in there, and I have no problems getting that water down. So just find ways to keep the kids hydrated. And tip number 3 is we always keep the car prepped and ready for a meet or a softball game. So I automatically have bottles of water that are in the back of my car. I've got a blanket, I've got a hoodie, we've got our chairs back there. I kind of look like a bag lady. Since these are spring sports we're talking about, I've got sock cap for myself, I've got a scarf. Logan is the one that's usually watching the softball games with me. The girls don't usually get to see one of Logan's track meets, and there's not really chairs in track. Like, I literally seem to run around the field as much as Logan does, just trying to keep up with him. So I always have my first aid kit, because there seems to never fail. Somebody might need it, so I just keep that nearby. So my whole back is packed, and we are ready for pretty much anything. I don't seem to keep any of my snacks and stuff in the car. Now, when they were younger, we used to, but now that they're older, everybody kind of like takes their own little lunch bag, I guess, and kind of keeps that with them so that they have stuff to snack on. All right, so those are our 3 tips and tricks on how we help our kids manage the high school sports season without us breaking our bank. I hope you guys really like this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button. And remember, if you hit the bell, it'll give you notifications every time I post a video. My goal is to make sure I have something posted every week, every Wednesday morning. So I'll see you next week, guys. God bless.